or not?
Yeah, I'm on my parents' house, so
I
yeah,
see.
totally
Okay.
different place.
So let's get started here. I just dropped the link to the doc over in the chat. And let me go ahead and share my screen. So go ahead and sign in. Just want to bring some of you that haven't been around for a while kind of up to speed where we're at, and some of the things that we're trying to wrap up. So the new UI is looking really well. We got for the service catalog pieces. So we have the Swagger library in there, and being able to do a README for the component. We also this week we brought in the license file. If I can spell. So that's part of the front end now. So we're going through and grabbing this information from various places, and it's pulling together really well. We have another team member called, his name is Utkarsh. He did a bunch of work around the running Cyclone and safety, scanning a Docker image and bringing that stuff into Ortelius. So, and we're able to get the links going. Let me see if I actually, I can show a demo here. Oh, wow, that's loading up. So it's pulling together really nice. Some of the things that from a technology standpoint that we're pulling together last minute is the Pi breaker piece. Karam is working on some connection pooling for the Python Flask in conjunction with Pi breaker. And we're just trying to get all the code standardized. Let me see if he's around. I don't think he's around. No. So Sergio, we built upon the Pi breaker piece that you found for us, and we're adding in, we're going through, Crum's doing some testing around, you know, how we need to structure our code if we lose a database connection in the middle of a transaction. You know, how do we recover from that point? You know, we know that transaction is going to be a dead transaction, and it'll throw back an error to the front end, which is fine. But then how does that Flask thread recover on its own and not crash the container? So that's part of the work that we're doing to make sure that it's going to go in, like, go through its retry logic to reconnect to the connection pool, clean that up, and then when we have that reestablished and the database comes back up, that the next transaction that's coming in is going to be able to work. And we have some, you know, graceful error handling on that side. It doesn't look like it's going to be too bad to get that to work. It's just a matter of getting the right logic in the right place, you know, with like the exception handling and things like that. So that's what's happening on that front. Let's see. So that's where we're doing some the testing around that. And once we get that all sorted out, we'll roll it through all the, right now we just have 5 microservices, 5 or 6 microservices that we're going to be using for the service catalog pieces. So along with that, we're going to need to change the install process. Before we had a single monolith container that we could just roll out. You can run Docker and run it locally, or you could put it into a Kubernetes cluster as a single container. But now that we have the microservices coming along, we need to think about how to kind of package that together as part of that process. So each repo has its own Helm chart. So we may want to look at building up like a app of apps for Argo for people that have Argo installed, that they can just point to our public repo and grab everything that way. Or we may want to look at some other ways, maybe a Helm chart that has nested Helm charts. So I'm open to ideas. If anybody has any suggestions on how we get this rolled out easily to a Kubernetes cluster.
Well, on my mind, like the I'm sorry.
Sorry. No, you go, Serge.
Okay, so when you do that, usually you want to come from little to bigger. So I think the one app with Helm chart that can just deploy all the components is good to go, like for initial things. After that, yeah, I will recommend go to an Argo, like an upset configuration, because right now on the GitOps side, it's more scalable, that you can, because at the end, Argo is going to take a lot of multiple charts, Helm charts, and is capable to deploy it to multiple targets. So that's the fun part. So see, if you already have a Helm chart, you just going to start to split that into a multiplex one and just integrate it to Argo. So yeah, I think that's like the natural road to that one Helm chart, like a monolithic Helm chart for saying some way.
Right.
After that, and split it in a useful upset, mix it with the configuration for Argo. And I will say that the last step, and that is more like future desire and not totally sure that can happen. But I think, strongly think that today the more automated way to work is just having operators. So it's a nice to have develop an operator for Ortelius, because yeah, GitOps is good to go when you are like doing like updates, and it's not just a product itself. When you have like multiple applications, and at the end you have a solution that change based of the needs, yeah, you probably are going to work with GitOps and stuff like that. But if you are like delivering a product, you want to manage that life cycle, and hopefully that your users don't have to take care about updates, features, and I don't know, all the complexity to have that in place, working and updated. You're going to you probably are going to want to work with operators. And today operators is at the beginning was like, okay, if you have your control plane for operators, maybe you can work with that. But the operator, the control plane for operator today in the public clouds and in the private ones is like more common to have it. Yesterday, I don't know, a few months ago was like maybe you can put it if you have the condition, but today is more easy to think that the condition for good to go and deploy an operator is more common than a few months ago.
Where is there an operator catalog then? Like they have
yeah,
like
there is an operator hub.
Okay.
Yeah, there exists an operator hub.
All right, perfect. Now, one of the other things is we can have deploy hub can actually deploy Ortelius as well. So over the SaaS. That's what we use internally to deploy over to the Azure cluster. So that's an option. Okay, perfect. That's good ideas. Because one of the goals is, and we run into this, I've run into it forever in the software world, is where people give up because it's too hard to install. So they if they can't figure it out in 5 minutes, they're done with it. So that's kind of the criteria, is, you know, a 5-minute install.
Yes, for example, I don't know, last week, there is from Red Hat Cup, they deliver an operator for managing certificates. It's utils operators. Basically, it's just one application that read annotation on a router, on an ingress control, for say in some way. If he gets like this specific annotation, he's going to inject like secrets with the certificate into the router. So probably if I have to configure that and doing test it, I won't probably use it. But it's not, I want to say, it's not a complex product. It's not like a big platform that they deliver. It's just like a util. But
Right.
it was on an operator and was just one command or one click to get working on it, get work on it on your Kubernetes cluster. So yeah, it's amazing how you can, yeah, I'm going to use this because it was like that, a click, an annotation, and it's working.
Well, that brings up like Bitnami. You know, Bitnami does a bunch of, well, they do kind of like the Helm, the monolithic Helm chart on the Bitnami side. If we should be publishing out to Bitnami.
Yeah, Bitnami is like a good example that they always like package things to get easily use it on customer. I don't know, like years ago, like having a virtual machine appliance that you just turn it on and works. Yeah, today operators is pretty much that.
Okay. And on the operator side, I have not ever worked with them. I know, I understand what they are and stuff like that, but do you have to install anything to make an operator work, or is it kind of like Helm where you basically do a CLI and then you're good to go? Or do you need like a sidecar in your cluster for
you
operators?
Need like what do you need on your Kubernetes cluster to like install an operator?
To work with operators.
Well, you need a control plane.
Okay.
It's just a pod that have permission over the class in simple way.
Perfect.
I already checked that in Azure. Is just an option of your configuration for your cluster that you say like I want to have on my operator control plane, or I want to enable on my cluster, and that's all.
Oh, nice. Sasha, what were you going to say? Or did Sergio steal all your thunder?
No. Sergio knows way more than me. But I just wanted to say, yeah, we have to use a Helm chart that has a dependent. There's like a generic Helm chart with as a dependency. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, you could have a better way to describe it would be what I would consider nested Helm charts.
That's it. Yeah, nested Helm chart. That's what we been given to use. to do our deployments into the client environment. So it's got like a API version and name and description and all that, and then underneath a dependency on the generic sort of microservice Helm chart. Yeah, seems to work pretty good.
Do you use operators at all, Sasha?
I don't know actually. I'll have to go and check that out because it wasn't set up by me. I just got given the, I mean, I'm just working on the environment.
Yeah,
but I can go check it out.
Yeah, if you could, just out of curiosity, see if you have the ability to use operators as a default.
Yeah, sure.
I think operators are, well, more like every Kubernetes cluster or cloud is going to do something similar what already Red Hat already implements. On Red Hat OpenShift by default, you have the operator control plane installed, and you have the like an option or like a subsystem inside your cluster that has connection to operator hub. So pretty much you open your operator menu in your cluster, and it's connected with operator hub, and you do like you just Google what you need.
Oh, perfect.
And install it. So
cool.
Azure is pretty much doing the same, and I think for sure the rest of the people is going to do the same. So I'm pretty much get used to it to operator, because yes, at Red Hat usually is like I need, and there is a lot of stuff. You maybe it's surprising, but there is a lot of stuff in Operator Hub. You have like things for IBM, for Microsoft, there is a lot of vendors that already have his operator, and and by default, on the worst case, you have like I don't know, a community edition of something. It's like pretty much when like you're going to Docker Hub, it's like the same. But right now, Docker Hub was like, okay, I have a really easy way to deploy a container. But right now you are deploying a solution like the operator is taking care about all the containers, all the needs.
This is cool, eh?
Yeah.
Working it's like a easy plugin, right? It's like kind of software plugins for Kubernetes, really. Is that right?
It's kind of like a.
I'm just trying to understand it again.
It's like a default installer.
Yeah.
For Kubernetes.
Yeah, operators inside are Go programming language scripting.
Oh yeah.
Helm chart itself, Ansible. And I think C++, something like that is good to go. So at the end, it's a box with the automation and scripting needed to deploy something in a standard way. But the nice thing is he managed the life cycle. So he's receiving like the updates, patching.
Oh, wow.
So you go to your operator install instance, and you say like, okay, I want to move to the next one. Or if you have like by default able to update whenever he wants, it's going to do it. So that's the good thing, that is connected to the provider, and your application is living connected online and is getting updates and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, it's a nice way to wrap things up and make it easy to one-stop shop for solutions, and it's really tailored around solutions. It's very similar to so Bitnami did something very similar, like Sergio was saying. Used to be around VMs, where you'd be able to download a whole VM for WordPress or whatever, and you could get up and going. And then they moved over to supporting Docker, but it's the same concept, a one-stop shop, and install the database, install a load balancer, those type of things. This is so cool. And everything was there ready to go. Now, one of the things I'm thinking to just start with is when we deploy it to Kubernetes, it's just running Nginx as a reverse proxy as part of so you just have your inbound into you ingress into that reverse proxy Nginx, and then that will proxy out to the backend side. Just to start there, and maybe down the road have an option where we have a Istio or another service mesh option as part of that. Because I don't know how many people are using, have Istio or Linkerd all configured and ready to go. It's much easier to use, I think, but it's not necessarily, people haven't, I don't think, have adopted that yet.
Istio, yeah. We use it. I
Yeah,
had to bypass it because it wasn't configured properly.
Yeah.
I think, in Red Hat and on all the big companies are doing the same. Like pretty much all the products of a technology company right now that works on Kubernetes is working with operators. I don't know. I'm a consultant, a cloud consultant, and a middleware consultant, and at this point, I am not doing more like installations, like follow a guy for installing something.
Yeah.
That's pretty much doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
Maybe, well, usually I'm be lack of time, but I think if it's interested for you, at Red Hat I can ask for a Q&A cluster for like a week for workshops and presentation objectives. So if we coordinate, I can ask for this cluster, and we can do a tour about operators.
That would be cool.
Operator Hub and some like new cool. We can use GitOps too to check how it's working. It's more like not because it's Red Hat and you are going anything we check on OpenShift is something that you can get in any other enterprise Kubernetes cluster. So if you want to check it over there, at least to see what are the futures, we can do that totally. I don't have much time to prepare things, but this is like order your cluster and then have a meeting, like doing a tour inside the cluster. So it's not going to take time for me more than the presentation itself.
Okay.
That sounds cool. How do I check if I can access operators? Sorry, is there like do you guys know offhand what the command is in Kubernetes?
Oh no, operators is you need a control plane. At the end, you need to communicate to an application to do that.
So Sasha's wondering, how do you check if the control plane's activated?
Yeah, so I'm not using the right language.
No, you probably you need to go to your cloud provider and like just follow
EKS. We're using EKS.
Okay, well, you have to check how to enable operator installation on your provider.
What I'll do is I'll just try and deploy something. I've got admin rights. That's amazing.
Maybe in Operator Hub there is some guides to like maybe the Operator have some reference. Like if you want to deploy this on this cloud, maybe there's something like that.
Oh, they may have like a prerequisites on Operator Hub.
At least in Operator Hub, I'm expected. I don't know. I'm expecting that if you go to the Operator Hub site and you select an operator, probably it's going to say, okay, here is like the reference if you want to install this operator over some clouds.
Right.
Let me check that. I'm going to see that.
Yeah, I want to do it because I'm obviously working in the cluster.
And the other thing that like the operator development kit, the SDK for operators is a good page. At the beginning it's complex because operators are not simple. You're doing like using you are at the end are doing development and automation, so it's not easy. But I think the operator page for supporting, you get like the onboarding on the development on operators, I think is a really good page.
Okay.
It facilitates a lot of to start trying out in implementing operators.
I see Kubernetes, AWS has got ACK is an open source project built with love. Okay, sure, by AWS. AWS controllers for Kubernetes. Is that it? Is that what Is that what
Yeah,
we?
that would probably, that sounds like it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go and have a look at this, guys. Ooh.
That's true, like 6.
Yeah, there's so many paths to go down here. That's why I wanted to throw it out there which way, you know, just because there's always new stuff coming out that I just totally miss, you know. So
so much stuff coming up.
perfect.
Ooh.
Does anybody have anything else? We're just coming up at the end of the half hour here. Some of the last things I kind of skipped over is Utkarsh was asking what should be, because he did the cyclone for Python, and we focus on Python as the language to scan for CVEs and licenses. Does anybody have which language should we do, a Node.js or Go as the next language, or do something like at the OS level, like with Trivy, you know, looking at the RPMs and packages and stuff like that?
I don't have, can you get, I'd only say Go because I want to learn Go.
Well, this is taking an application, a container that has a Go application in it, and we'd scan for the Golang packages to see if they have any CVEs in it. That's what. So we're really not writing Go. We're scanning and implementing like Cyclone that has a Go scanner. I'm kind of leaning towards Node.js, since JS is a pretty big adoption.
Yeah,
makes sense.
And I think, or the other one would be the Trivy and look at the OS level. Whoops.
Yeah. When I think about Node.js, when we say like a lot of adoption, yeah, like usually when you need one lib, you're going to have like 100 options of the same lib. There is too much people doing the same.
Yeah.
That's
but if you on a Node.js, if you do a hello world, you end up with 1,500 dependent packages.
Yeah, like for log, you know, there's so many utilities. Like people really love to implement the same thing that already exists.
Yeah, and keep going on the dependencies. Like, oh, I need this one library to parse this string. So you bring in that library, and that library has all this stuff to handle every single use case. So there's like 30 packages. So it's a cascading effect.
Yeah, but after laughing about that, it's a pain because usually you install one lib, and it's super common that the conflict between libraries, like this library by behind use some string library on version 4, and this other library use the same thing but on version 6, and I that's one like the few things I don't like of Node.js. Too much libraries and too much libraries conflicts. So I prefer Python and Go. I think it's less likely that you're going to have that. It's more simple. So, well, the time I go into the Cyclone DX and for the container we have on Ortelius, this is because I wasn't like new understanding Cyclone DX, but I know there is some like we're using Cyclone DX because there are some benefits, but I feel like a little additional complexity inside the implementation of the container. That's what like my feeling about it. So usually I will say let's try to keep it simple.
And if there's other open source tools that are doing scanning, we can adopt those as well. I haven't found that many. You know, you get the proprietary ones like SNCC or Black Duck. You know, those are the proprietary ones. Just trying to stick with the open source side to start with.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, you need this for scanning, but
Oof,
on my head is I usually don't do that, but because I just use my registry, scan my image, and that's all. So usually I don't implement, I not code like utilities inside my container that scan stuff. I just let it to the image. So what is the reason to have like an inside library doing that?
We can, that's one of the other options that we need to look at is if you have a default, like Quay does a default scanning
Yeah.
of your image. We have to figure out if there's a way to grab the raw data from that scan and bring it into Ortelius. So what we're trying to do is consolidate all of that data into one place into our dashboard.
Okay.
So if Quay has done a scan, if there's a RESTful API, we can call on the Quay side to just download the raw JSON about the CVEs and licenses. Now, one of the other things that the registry scanners will do is like Trivy is like an example. So on your GitHub Actions, Trivy will go ahead and scan your container image, but it'll only look at RPMs and your packages at the OS level. It won't look at any of your Python modules. So you really have a gap there where you're going to have vulnerabilities in your Python modules, but not at the OS level in the container. So what I'm seeing is you need multiple tools to be able to figure out, is this thing really safe? And also the other thing that they don't do, like Trivy doesn't do, or even it doesn't bring out the licenses that are being consumed. So you have no idea what the license consumption is for that container.
Yeah, I know, I understand. The only thing I have present, like I don't know, I'm afraid that I don't want to put like complexity on the delivery side for this scanning needs. Like I would like to have, or I will try to do, I'm thinking loudly, like on this case I will try to do something like adding a image layer. So as you say, we need to like there is a different tool that are going to do the work. So usually on the base, on the OS, you're going to have this scan on the image side to check the binaries on the OS and check that it's okay. And over that, we should have like a new image that take care about the next, I don't know, dependencies, I think. But at the end, hopefully, for the development, that is in the layer of the image, and I just have to take care about the development.
Right. And what we're doing is this isn't a hard requirement to use Ortelius as part of the as part of your pipeline to go ahead and do the scanning. What I like to do is to be able to leverage existing scanning tools that are out there. And like I said, just suck that data in somehow or point to where that data exists. I don't want to add any more complexity to the process, but that's one of the things I'm recognizing is it's really hard to get the information out of what you're looking for. Unless, like I said, you go to a proprietary, even then, if somebody's using like the Linux Foundation, I believe they have a contract with SNCC to go ahead and scan all your images, and then you get a report attached to your Git repo. And if we can pull that in, where proprietary tools doing the scanning, and for that container, we can just suck that in and make the association. That would be great, because then we have these, tools out there that are actually, that's all they're designed to do is look for licenses and CVEs. And we can bring those in. That would be my ultimate goal, because I hate rewriting stuff. And I don't want to become a security scanning, project. I just want to, use what's out there.
Yeah, totally agree.
But that's kind of the goal that we're trying, that the goal from the service catalog perspective is to show for this component version that corresponds to this new Docker image, that it has these are the CVEs that exist in it, and these are the licenses that it's consuming. That's kind of the goal at that level, at the high level, and how we get that information and where we get it from. That's where the challenge comes into play.
Yeah, I will try to check what I'm more used to be sure that like the base image containers is healthy. Yeah, so usually I don't like, yeah.
If you look at a base image, that would be like a trivia, where the base image will go through and make sure that all the binaries, like the Python version, the URL lib, some of the open SSL libraries don't have any vulnerabilities in it. But when you then put on top of a Python program that brings in some Python module that is unsecure, it's not going to catch those. That's like the next level of the application level.
Yeah, and you need like for every flavor of framework and stuff like that, you're going to need a different thing. So it's pretty mess. Well, I don't have an idea about that, so I will talk
think about it.
People about the community of practices that I met. So maybe I can get some good idea to reuse. But yeah, right now, no, I usually don't take care about that.
Yeah. All right, guys, we've gone over a little bit. Thank you so much. We are going to meet with the Australian group this afternoon, my time, 4:30 Mountain Time, to talk about more about the GitOps piece. So you're interested in that, drop in. Brad and Amit have been doing a lot of work around that, around Argo. So it's pulling together where they're at. So they're close to wrapping up their research and going to be publishing some recommendations on our next step for integrating Ortelius with at least Argo at this point.
Okay, that's so cool.
I will do my best to be in the evening.
All righty. Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys. It was cool.
Thank you. It was a nice
talk. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.